Hello, Guardians. Welcome to Tower Casuals, the Destiny podcast. I am your host, Corey Deering, and alongside me, as always, is the mayor of the Deepstone Crypt, the Jotun Toten, the dead man tail slinging, the Iron Banana himself, Josh Finney.
That's right. As of today, I'm also the Grandmaster.
Yeah. The Grandmaster. Gotta add that to the list.
That's right. That's right. I have, in fact, conquered the first Tower Casuals Grandmaster.
That's true. That is true. How was that Grandmaster, by the way?
You know what? It actually wasn't. So I did it with our friend Nerd Generalist.
Mm-hmm.
It was not awful. We got through it in about 20 minutes. We would have had it on the first try, but I fell while I was trying to do a cheese.
Ooh. Oh, you tried the cheese?
So no, I didn't try that cheese. I tried a different one where you, when you get to the elevator, if you start climbing the chain, he'll pop out early.
Yeah.
And you can start shooting him from down below before the elevator even starts moving. And, well, I fell when the elevator started moving, and I fell below the platform.
Yeah.
So I was stuck down there, and by the time it warped me up there, he had already moved. We only did 2/3 damage before we got wiped. We kept hope alive, but we couldn't do it. Second run, we managed to get it down. Like I said, took about 20 minutes. Second run, I did get the Adept Shadow price to drop with 4 times the charm and 1 for all, which that thing is a fucking monster.
Yeah.
I took it into the Crucible earlier, and I went on like a 10 kill streak with it. Kill/assist. I was just popping off one after another. And we ran it again last night with Johnny, with A1 Johnny, and I managed to get my first Adept mod, Adept Range. So the range bar is completely filled out now.
Jesus.
Yeah, dude, I'm kid you not, with that mod on, Shadow Price, I was shooting people across the map at a very steady rate.
Wow.
It was fucking gorgeous. I love that gun. I'm very excited. I'm less excited for Palindrome because I'm not a huge hand cannon user, but I'm extremely excited for Swarm to come back into the rotation.
Yeah.
I really like the Swarm machine gun. In fact, Nerd Generalist actually got the role that I like on Swarm that I have on it. He got that as the Adept role. So all in all, it was really good. Got tons of materials out of it. Got a golf ball. Got like 7 prisms between the 2 runs. Probably about 7 or 8 cores.
Wow.
I got an exotic piece of armor to drop on the second run.
Ooh.
It was real good. It's a great time. We double chaos reached and divinity'd the boss.
Ooh.
So he died pretty quickly. We had him down in about 15 seconds because that boss, if you don't burn Brachus Zahn right away, you're going to have a real bad time on Grandmaster.
Yeah, especially with the turrets and the dogs and then running across the map to get the ball to...
Honestly, so here's the thing. Like, yes, the turrets are bad. The Threshers are even worse.
Yeah.
Those are one-hit kills on you. I was actually using my heavy almost exclusively during the strike to take out Threshers and to take out the tanks.
Yeah.
We did find out Celestial Nighthawk can take out 2/3 of the tank's health in 1 hit on Grandmasters.
Ooh.
So that was really cool to find out. It was a good time overall. I like Grandmasters. I'm not jazzed about ever attempting, because read my lips, I will not be doing Fallen Saber on Grandmaster ever. I don't hate myself enough for that. I hate myself, but not that much.
Are you sure?
Yes.
You don't want to hate yourself a little bit more?
No. I'm mainly because I don't want to do the fucking war sat, and I really don't want to do the fucking boss.
Yeah.
Not looking forward to that. And then, God, just like Scarlet Keep is terrible on Master already. Really don't want to go do that on Grandmaster. There's a few others. I don't know how I feel about doing this Proving Grounds. It's the Grandmaster next week. Tune in next week to hear me and Nerd describe every single expletive we've ever heard in regards to that strike on Grandmaster.
Yeah, I can't wait for that one.
Dude, let's cat's out of the bag. Let's just jump straight to it. We're gonna do things out of order tonight. Let's talk about that strike before we get to the Schwab.
Yeah, it's neat. It's cool.
You don't sound like you like it that much.
I mean, it's fine. Like, it's interesting. It feels like it it feels like what they were trying to do with strikes at, like, remember when D2 launched and they were like, strikes are going to be different. They're going to add different kind of mechanics into the strikes and stuff. And then you're like, oh, okay, well, these still feel like strikes, right? This kind of feels somewhere like it feels like a light-ish dungeon-ish.
This is like a strike meets a battleground.
Yeah.
If this is the future of strikes, though, I'm here for it.
Yeah.
That thing got fucking bonkers. So you spawn in at the end of the first battleground, and you have to fight your way up like you're in the battleground, up to the front of the tank, or the back of the tank, really. You kill the first champion that comes out, you enter the tank, you get to the hangar, and there's interceptors all over the place. There's snipers in the room, and then 2 Goliaths come out.
Mm-hmm. The hangar looks cool, though. Like that.
That was bonkers.
It's a cool visual. It's definitely a cool visual.
It's a really cool visual. This is one of the rooms where they change the VIPs depending. Like, it randomizes the yellow bar enemies on you. There's 10 different possibilities across the strike for them to spawn at. Mm-hmm. That's really cool to me. I think that's awesome. Mm-hmm. I like that. I like when you're going down deeper into the tank, you're clearly down in the bowels of it, and you're running power cores around. There's snipers. You're jumping. Like, the thing is clearly driving underneath you.
Yeah.
And you're, like, jumping across the tires. And I thought that was really cool. The boss, though, man, when he throws that, essentially a solar nova bomb at you.
Yeah.
Once it tracks you, there's almost no escaping that.
Yeah.
That specifically is why I am not jazzed to do this on Grandmaster.
Yeah.
You have to get real fucking close to the boss when he goes into that little shield.
Yeah.
But I thought this was really cool overall. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, it's cool. It's probably one of my favorite newer strikes for sure, right? I mean,
it is.
I feel like we've just been playing the same damn strike. So, dude, if I had to play Inverted Spire one more time,
So I don't get that one, like, ever, so I would relish it. The one I'm just absolutely done with is Arms Dealer at this point.
See, I never get Arms Dealer. Like,
I'm done with Arms Dealer. I'm done with Warden of Nothing.
Warden of Nothing I could be done with that too. Except it's so easy. Like, especially if you're doing,
I think it's a unique one.
If you're doing your weeklies, like, that's one that you would hope to get stuck in if you're doing the strike playlist, right? Is like, because it's just you just fly through it. Except for the fucking trains, dude. God, fuck the trains.
The thing that I really like about how they've been doing the strikes is I like how you compare this one to a mini dungeon, because that's how I feel about doing the Scarlet Keep on any difficulty other than normal. Yeah. That strike is so fucking long.
Yeah, that strike is like, there's, you know how, like, there's like 3 separate rooms where you have to do pretty much the same thing. If they just cut it to like one of those rooms and then made an extended sequence in between that and the elevator, I'd be fine. That strike is so long because those rooms are so big. It's annoying.
It's rough. This kind of goes back to the argument that I've made that I don't really consider the dungeons to be dungeons anymore. That's more of what I envision a raid layer being. Mm-hmm. I really feel that these things these strikes on, like, Master and Grandmaster are more indicative of a dungeon, though, especially with some of the mechanics in them.
Right.
I like the strike design that they've had since Forsaken, though. Mm-hmm. So Forsaken, we got Warden of Nothing, we got the Hollowed Lair, and we got the Corrupted. I hate Hollowed Lair. Hollowed Lair is the worst fucking strike in the game. I hate that. If I see that or Exodus Down, I immediately exit out.
God,
I just don't have the patience. I don't have the patience to do either of those.
Mm-hmm. Mitch and I were doing strike, or we were playing the other night, and we were doing our weekly stuff just because we had our battlegrounds done, we did our Nightfalls, whatever. We're like, let's just run some strikes before we go to bed, and then we get, even in the normals playlist, Exodus Down, we were like, nope, back to Orbit. I hate that strike so much.
It's another one of those. It's so long.
I know.
It's long. It's not fun. The boss fight is just awful.
Yeah.
I largely like the building of the strikes they've done since Forsaken. Broodhold was one that came in Forsaken. I don't like Broodhold, but it's a quick strike. And I mean, like, the mechanic, okay, it's a little interesting. You know, you gotta fight copies of the boss, this and that. Scarlet Keep it's a really good strike. It's just so long. It's basically a dungeon. At that point, I wish you would have made it a little bit more difficult and made it a dungeon.
Yeah.
Like, and given us something else for a strike. I don't know. That it just feels a little weird. And then what's the other one? They didn't give us any other strike. I think that was that strike. They gave us one other one on IO that's already been taken out of the game. Yeah. Which was weird because that was an interesting strike, I felt. Yeah. With the Vex and the Taken architecture on IO. Yeah. We got the reprise. Obviously, we have the 3 reprise strikes, which all 3 just chef's kiss. They're great. I like all 3 of those. I like the changes they've made to make Devil's Lair even worse with the Briggs. Right. Oh, God. But the new strike, so I like the new strike on Europa. I wish we would have gotten I think we are going to get another one on Europa eventually. And then giving us Proving Grounds. Proving Grounds, giving that to us as a strike is, I think, a way to keep some of the seasonal content, like story beats that they know we're going to need to know in the future, to keep those around. Like that, the Presage, Harbinger, like those all have story beats that like you're going to kind of need to know going forward. Like that's basically Crow's. 2 of those are, well, not 2. Harbinger is very tied to the Crow and to the Traveler. Presage is tied to Osiris and Keitel. This is tied to Keitel, Zavala, and Crow, like the aftermath of it, which, man, that cutscene, I was jumping out of my seat cheering at the end of that cutscene. Yeah, so everybody was talking about it at work that day, and I was like, I can't wait till I get home. I'm just going to look it up. I watched it on YouTube, and like, to be fair, I was watching on a work monitor that was like 19 inches and like the YouTube window was this big in 480p. That's why when I was texting you, I was like, did he revive Zavala's ghost? Because I couldn't tell. It was like, it was like one of those things that it was like a mini version of the thing that the Cabal put on the Traveler. It looked like after I watched it again, right? Like where it just kind of like paralyzed the ghost and was kind of sucking the light out of it. Right. Yeah. So that whole cutscene, man, I knew, dude, they changed it. Because remember when they teased it? And when they teased it at the beginning of the season, the trailer, Crow didn't have the mask on in that scene. Yeah. They pulled a Marvel on us. They marveled us. I liked that they did marvel us. It was great. It was similar to Bife's prediction, but it wasn't the Scion sister that he and I were kind of thinking it was. Which is cool. I'm very much aware of this, but it calls back to something that's said earlier in the season about the Scions being very intelligent. Saladin, or Crow, I think, wonders why they're still under them, and Saladin, I think it's Saladin who says that they are very smart. They're a smart, calculating race, and clearly, there was a Scion insurrection of sorts to try and kill Zavala. The Scions really have it out for him between trying to crash the Almighty into the city and the assassination attempts. Right. It's clear they were trying to destabilize. There's no peace without Zavala. Right. Everybody else in the tower will go to war to avenge Zavala. And, Keitel will have to respond to that. It would destabilize the Cabal. The Scions would get their freedom, etc. So it's very interesting. And that she's very serious. Like, no, we have an agreement. We have this is not an alliance. This is an armistice. I do think that Witch Queen at this point is going to lead to an Avengers Assembled moment of sorts. It's either happening there or it's happening at the end of Lightfall or during Lightfall. One of the two, really. Well, it could happen. It could be like, what if it's the season leading into Lightfall where they kind of tease it and then Lightfall opens up like that, right? I mean... That's kind of what I'm starting to think now, because we have a ceasefire with the loyal Cabal, right? With those under Keitel. So really, the remnants of Callus's empire, not the. I can't believe the Red Legion hasn't been completely wiped out, but they give us a story explanation for why they're still on Earth, and it's like any Cabal you see, you are to terminate on sight. That's part of the agreement with Keitel. We know Mithrax has the House of Light.
Yeah.
So really it's going to come down to us versus the Taken/Hive, like our three alliances, because the Fallen have almost been wiped out at this point, unless they're under Mithrax. And same with the Cabal. Like, they just want to exist.
I hope there's a Winter Soldier moment with Varix where he gets his cool metal arm back.
Dude, I want him to have a moment, but I'm going to need, like, him and Mithrax to go back-to-back, like Iron Man and Rescue style from Infinity, or from Endgame.
Yeah.
I'm going to need them to go back-to-back with, like, 6 guns in their arms.
Yeah. I was going to say War Machine and Iron Man from Iron Man 2, but...
Or like all their swords, and they're just fighting off all these Thrall and Acolytes.
Right.
Like, that would just be so... There's so many cool things. Like, please do not skip on the cinematics budget.
Right. That's why we're only getting these like small cutscenes and like these animated ones, because they're saving their budget for those big ones.
I hope so, because after we didn't see Osiris use the last of his light, I was very disappointed.
Right.
But, I mean, I guess it's kind of clear they put most of the budget into Beyond Light, judging by that season. That was especially true.
Right.
I'm curious to see how this story evolves, though. Like, Osiris and Keitel have an understanding. And Saladin's bloodlust has been tamed for now. Crow is sent away at the end, after the dialogue you get from him and from Zavala after that cutscene. Zavala is immensely thankful for Crow saving his life, and has sent him on a reconnaissance mission, which I truly think, because Crow says at the end, you know, I believe that we will cross paths again one day. I believe that we'll see each other again, basically, is what he tells you. I think that that's going to lead into the events of the Witch Queen. I think Zavala has possibly sent him to where they suspect Mara is.
Okay.
To bring her back into the fold. I don't know if we see Crow again this year. I think it honestly may be Witch Queen before we see him again. Or we see him in like the final cutscene of the season leading into the Witch Queen of, here's him and Mara.
So what exactly happened after the cutscene? Because like I only watched the cutscene and I'm still trying to make my way through some of this stuff to get the story beats out of it.
So there's 2 dialogues that you get from Crow. You get one from Crow in the helm, and then you go talk to Zavala. So Crow basically tells you, you know, like, I have faith we're going to see each other again. Zavala's sending me on a reconnaissance mission. He wants to send me away from the city while he sorts this out. The look in his eyes, he knew who I was, but that didn't matter to him. All that mattered to him was who I am now. And Zavala basically says the same thing to you. He tells us, you know, I told Ikora already knew, as did Osiris. And he basically, he's stern with you. He's not mad, but he's a little disappointed. And he literally says, he goes, I wish you had trusted me enough to tell me this.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we didn't know. We thought he was going to like freak out, you know, like I thought that there was going to, before, like, you know, when they teased it and he didn't have his mask on, we saw them together. I thought there was going to be some sort of, not fight, but you know, he recognizes who he is, and like maybe he pins him up against the wall to yell at him or something, and Osiris stops him or something. You know what I mean? Like I thought there was going to be some sort of, you know. I
think had we seen this a year or 2 ago, I think we would have gotten that. But Zavala's had to grow a lot as a character since Forsaken. I mean, we talked about this in our lore corner about Zavala last year, about how he really has had the weight of the literal weight of the world on his shoulders since Cade's death. He feels responsible for it, and Zavala's prediction finally came true that there is a reckoning coming for Cade dying and for us killing Uldren. We just don't know what the consequence is yet. The consequence is, at least right now, Zavala's life was saved. Xivu Arath's advance is stopped. Zavala literally says, he goes, we don't have a truce with the Cabal. We have an armistice. They are a buffer between us and Xivu Arath's advance. He is strategically planning to let them be wiped out if he has to protect the city. I really think that we're going to be called to save them, though, because Zavala, Keitel says this, and it's funny because this all kind of ties in with the whole Twitter account takeover. That she recognizes Zavala is a man of honor. Zavala's honor will one day be his downfall. He will trust the wrong person. I don't know when that'll be. I don't think that it means they necessarily kill him off, but something is going to happen, and it damn near did here, even though it was not Keitel's fault.
Mm-hmm. I wonder. I don't think they're going to kill Zavala until. I mean, these characters will all be gone by the time the Light and Dark saga is over, right? Like I'm assuming that.
See, I'm not sure. I don't know. Like, I think it all depends on how long Lance wants to keep voicing him.
Uh-huh.
I could see them just retiring Zavala instead, not killing him, but simply letting him retire. Like, Cade died because they needed something to inject life into the franchise. Okay, we'll kill off the only character anybody gives a shit about.
Mm-hmm.
And the result is the best story-driven expansion we've ever had.
Mm-hmm.
Outside of, well, it's up there with Taken King for the best story, right? And they're both tales of revenge in a lot of ways, except Oryx is trying to take revenge on us.
Mm-hmm.
Bringing Ikora back into the fold next season is going to help a lot. Having Osiris here for a couple seasons has helped. I expect him to remain a presence.
Mm-hmm.
He is literally in the lore. He is Zavala's advisor right now.
Mm-hmm.
Clearly, him and Ikora are talking. They haven't talked in a very long time.
Right.
They're talking face to face again. I mean, he's hanging out in the bazaar right by her.
Mm-hmm.
This also makes it pretty clear to me the Helm's not going anywhere. I think the Helm is going to stick around. I mean, it has to for the seasonal content, but I think it's going to continue to stick around, and that's where they're going to do a lot of the seasonal storytelling at.
Right.
For at least this year, which makes sense. That's a good space. There's still something that's going to happen there because your weapons are out and your super is charging. Something's going to happen at some point.
Yeah, that has to be an active play space at some point.
Yeah. I'm excited to see what goes. And Corey, you said before we started, you wanted to bring up an article that Game Informer posted this week.
Yeah, so
just while we're talking narrative.
Yeah, Leanna Rupert at Game Informer. She follows me. We're cool. We're friends. Just kidding. But seriously, she wrote an article that says Destiny 2 Season of the Chosen marks a significant turning point for the better. And reading through this article, where's the paragraph I want to read? While I find this, she's writing a lot about how the narrative has really taken over really in the last year or so, which, I mean, we've talked about a lot on this.
Yeah.
So, spoilers ahead. There's a distinct parallel that is flooding Destiny communities. I've seen the below image in almost every Facebook group and Discord I'm in. It's the image of Zavala helping Crow, right? He reaches his hand out. And then the parallel in question has to do with the Forsaken's DLC image below when Aldrin, now Crow, kills Cade. So the parallels of this storytelling is, okay, so it's very clearly the light is showing on Zavala as he's helping Crow up. Right? And darkness is shrouding Aldrin as he's killing Cade, right?
Yeah.
But the parallels, it's like the image is amazing. And
I've seen this so many times on my timeline this week, and that was one of the first things I thought about too when I saw that. I was like, oh my god, like this is Bungie storytelling at its best.
Mm-hmm.
We talked about, I think it was last week or the week before, about how we finally have the evolving narrative that we've asked for years.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and, I mean, since the Taken King, really, remember the Taken King, how powerful that story was, and then we went through like a couple of after the raid and like the hard mode raid and stuff, and they added a couple more story elements that spring, right, in that spring expansion, and it kind of fell flat. That was kind of like the disappointing part of the Taken King was the yearly expansions that came out then weren't great, and because
they couldn't sustain you for an entire year. That's like a month's worth of content.
Yeah,
I've talked about it. Like I pieced out after doing the raid a few times.
One of the very first one of the very first shows that I used to do, the Destiny show that I used to do, when we started it during the Dark Below, and we were moving into the second half of the Taken King, and we were like, is this where the Division, like, because the Division was getting ready to come out.
Yeah.
And we were saying, is this where the Division beats out Destiny? And spoilers, didn't. But we started talking a little bit about the Division because we were all interested in playing the Division. And then like the one thing that highlights it for me was it was like February 13th was the day that those two games came out, or the Destiny patch came out. The Division 2 had come out, and then it was like in a fight of the Division versus Destiny, Dark Souls 3 wins or something stupid, because it was like nobody cared about the Division. Destiny was kind of on a downward at that point, and then Dark Souls had come out, and everybody stopped playing those games to play Dark Souls 3.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, it just didn't keep us interested.
What they've done, though, so this week, spoiler alert, the Proving Grounds quest, the strike, ends the seasonal narrative.
Yeah.
We've had continuous updates for 7 or 8 weeks now. 7 weeks. For 7 straight weeks, we've had new story elements every single week. That's in addition to the 3 different version, or the 3-week cycle of the Presage mission, the scannables aborted, etc. Like, there's so much narrative in this season, and so like I have seen some people going, "Oh, well, what else is that it for the season?" And it's like, yeah, like now they're going to give you time to wrap things up, like come in, do some things. Like people who sat out the whole season, hey, you can come in and enjoy the whole story start to finish now if you want to bang it out in a weekend and get it all done before we launch into Guardian games at the end of April. Yeah. Which sounds like they're changing that up quite a bit this year to make it actually worth playing. But this is how I like to see it. Like, you've done a narrative for half of the season, then you give the other half for the people who fell behind, who haven't done it. They still have ample time to get in, catch up, and not feel like they're missing out too much.
Yeah. I wanna finish these 2 paragraphs here, Josh,
go ahead.
before we move on. It says this. So she talks about the season and kind of what the season is based off of. So the season's premise is that Zavala and the rest of the Guardians have come to a shaky truce with the Cabal, with Keitel at the helm. To prove their worth, Guardians had to take to the Proving Grounds to fight the best of the best when it comes to the Cabal fleet. Each week brought a new step, including some investigative work with the Crow. The reincarnated iteration of Cade 6's killer, Aldrin Sov, is a character many weren't expecting to like at all. But with this season, many of us grew not only to like him, but to love what he brings to the table. I previously wrote about how I hated how much Bungie made me love this character, even knowing the motivations and manipulation that Aldrin went through. That didn't matter to me. The end game was still the same. Cade, my favorite character, was dead, and by his hand. I wanted to hate Crow, even knowing that wasn't fair. While I was prepared to possibly not totally despise him, I wasn't prepared to empathize with him and appreciate his character. After the latest reset in this week's story progression, I can safely say that he is now my favorite character out of the entire franchise. Boy, let me tell you, that turn of events was shocking to me, but here we are. And those 2 paragraphs right there tell you everything you need to know about the storytelling that Bungie has been doing, probably starting with Season of Arrivals, to be quite honest with you, within the last year, right? Like, it just, the story's been, I mean, they've been telling good stories before then, but like the consistent storytelling, the evolving story, like you said at the top of the episode, is like, they're doing it. They're doing what we've been asking for years.
I know that we've all criticized, rightfully so, we've all criticized Season of the Hunt last season. While the actual activity may have been dull as hell, and it's nobody likes doing those hunts. Nobody enjoys it at all. It's not fun. It's not enjoyable. The High Celibate mission, I've talked about how much I like that, and I like the world building it does, like around Zebu Arath and whatnot. The true meat of that season was Hawkmoon and Harbinger. And the quests that Crow sends you on, because you start learning about him, and you start learning that, the Traveler speaks to Crow. The Traveler really doesn't speak to anybody else. We're one of the only other people it's ever truly spoken to. Off the top of my head, it's spoken to maybe 1 or 2 other individuals. I believe it's spoken to Ikora once. And it spoke to the speaker once at the very end of his life, right before he was murdered, as a reward for a life of selflessness. And servitude. Other than that, us and Crow are the only ones with consistent visions, and I think that's such a powerful image that he went from being one of the biggest villains in the franchise to being one of its greatest heroes now. He knows something happened in his past. And I do think that part of what Zavala's sending him to do is to go find Mara so that he can have his past explained to him by her. Mm-hmm. But Zavala has to remember, now that the secret is out and people know who Crow is, not only are people in the tower going to be pissed at him, I mean, people have seen his face. That's why he had to keep it covered. We know the story about the Titan who killed him repeatedly over and over again. Every time he res, she just killed him again. And you have to remember, the Reef will want to kill him. Mm-hmm. Petra Venge is going to try to kill him at some point. Mm-hmm. I do wonder if it's going to lead to Mara or even us having to put Petra down.
Yeah.
To protect Crow. Like, there are so many storylines. Saladin is going to be pissed when he finds out.
Saladin is the one that's going to... Saladin's the one that's going to... I'm surprised they're ending the story beats early, because I want to know what Saladin's going to...
Honestly, the person I want to know the most right now is... I want to know what Petra thinks when she finds out, because her and Cade were close. But I really want to know where Ikora is at, because Ikora was ready to storm the Reef with the power of the Guardians to kill Uldren. Mm-hmm. She sanctioned us going off on our own. And yet, as far as we know, she's just taken this very calmly. She knew. Osiris talked to her. Granted, Osiris was probably the best person to talk to her about this. Mm-hmm. But we know she's coming back into the story next season, and she's going to be a major part of the Witch Queen. I do wonder where her headspace is around this. I don't know if I would call Crow the best character right now, but I certainly think he's the best written.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The storylines around him, the lore, there's so many lore books dedicated to him. In fact, our lore corner today is going to be about him. It's attached to a sparrow that we get from Crow himself. Mm-hmm. I am very, very curious to see where the seasonal narrative goes from here. Like, are we now going to do the ramp up to the Witch Queen starting next season? Mm-hmm. I think that's a fair question to ask, because really the first 2 seasons have been centered around the Crow. Mm-hmm. And he's not going to be here now. Well, I mean, they could always bring him back in, like, it's been 6 weeks. Congratulations, your best friend is back. But who knows? Who knows what they're really going to do there? He's going to continue to hang out in the Helm because that's where, you're going to pick up all his stuff. He won't be accessible in the Tangled Shore anymore, this and that. Mm-hmm. There's going to be a lot of repercussions. But, Corey, any last thoughts on Crow, on the story beats, etc.?
Well, I wonder if it probably won't happen on screen. But there's been all those rumors of Aphrodite coming back to run Iron Banner. And I wonder if this is the turning point that happens, because Saladin finds out who Crow is. Maybe he wants to leave the tower for a while, or, you know what I mean? And maybe go back to, I don't know, Fellwinter's Peak or whatever, where, you know what I mean? Like, maybe he goes back to the temple and Aphrodite comes in to run Iron Banner because she just, maybe she just doesn't care, or she's not as salty about it as he is. Like, I just, for me, like, Saladin is one of my favorite characters in the game. So I am always interested to see where he's at. So I mean, that's kind of it. That's something that crossed my mind, where if Saladin finds out, maybe that's where Aphrodite comes back in, because that's been rumored for a while. But we can talk about that on a different show. Mm-hmm.
So. Well, see, it's funny that you talk about Saladin and Aphrodite, because the other topic we want to talk about tonight was the state of Iron Banner. This is going to kind of kick off a discussion series that we're going to have over the next few weeks. I know Corey's going to be stepping away for a few weeks, but
I know, I'm so salty.
I'm sorry. Nerd Generalist and I have been workshopping a couple topics we want to bring in. We want to talk about endgame topics. I want to say, though,
before you go into that, we've had a couple requests. Well, we've had quite a few requests saying that Nerd Generalist should be on more. So everybody's getting their wish.
You're getting your wish. For at least 3 weeks, we're going to have him on. But we were planning to talk about Trials of Osiris, raids, and Grandmasters over the next few weeks. I wanted to talk about Iron Banner at some point, but I wasn't sure where we were going to be able to line up with an Iron Banner. Tonight happened to work out perfectly with such a light Schwab. It's so light we haven't even gotten to it. Mm-hmm. Iron Banner, though. So with the stasis changes came out this week. I will say it does not feel like as much of a stasis fest.
I played for 3 hours last night, and there was maybe two matches where stasis was like being used, but not overly used. You know what I mean? I saw people using solar powers. I saw people using void. I saw a lot of nova bombs.
Yeah, this is the most I've enjoyed Iron Banner in a hot minute. At least since Beyond Light came out. It's such stark contrast to how I felt about the first Iron Banner of the season, where I was just like, fuck this, I don't want to play Iron Banner. Iron Banner is dog shit. I don't know what we need to do. Something's got to be fixed, though. The stasis nerfs were what they needed to happen. Today, a server-side change went live in regards to matchmaking. So now when they go to match up teams, it's going to be more like a snake draft. So like a top player and then next top player, second player, next second player, things like that is how matches are going to be made, especially in the freelance playlist. And I will say I played for about 2.5 hours today, and I got mercied once and I mercied another team once. Other than that, they were neck and neck battles the whole time. Nobody won by more than like 15. It felt really, really good. But then I went and played some Mayhem and it immediately felt bad again. One, because Stasis is dominating, but two, it's just, man, they need to apply. Apparently, this is an unpopular opinion, according to the internet. I think the matchmaking was great today.
Yeah, but I felt really good last night. It felt really good last night. It felt really even last night. I think there was only one match.
Well, that was before the changes were even deployed. I will say the one thing today is the queues took a little bit longer to get through than normal. And maybe that's just the patch acclimating. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But it felt more balanced last night and tonight. I really liked it. Of course, I'm typically during Banner, I'm running in there as part of a 5 or 6 stack, which just makes it a ton of fun. You're usually not getting mercied if you're in a 6 stack.
Yeah.
Unless you're just, I should take that back. Johnny and I got matched up against a group of all gilded flawless guys.
Oh, cool.
And yeah, we got mercied. That's the worst Iron Banner match ever. I posted a respectable 1.0. Everybody else was 0.5 or lower. It was real bad.
Calling out A1 Johnny, huh? You suck.
Dude, John literally started celebrating when he got a kill against that team. So yeah,
I celebrate when I get kills anyway. I feel good when I get kills in anything other than control. Okay.
I think one of the things, so Iron Banner, people have been saying this for a little while, and it's definitely gotten more traction since Stasis came out because we've all just been so frustrated, I think. Stasis, especially Stasis Hunters, can just lock down a point. They can just hurl their super over there.
Yeah.
And that's it. You can't get anywhere near it for like 30 seconds. That gives the team enough time to move up and capture the point themselves. There's some discussion online about, remember when Iron Banner used to be different modes? We've had Iron Banner Supremacy, we've had Rift, we've had Iron Banner Mayhem in Destiny 1, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, it was definitely during Rise of Iron when it was Mayhem. Yeah, that was fun. I
would love to see a return to things like that. Iron Banner Momentum Control, I think, would be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
There's so many other modes, and even Clash, just so many other modes, because people don't capture the fucking zones.
Right. That's like the first thing I do is I'm going to go towards the zones. Somebody better follow me. You know what I mean?
People don't capture zones, and then they wonder how the other team manages to go on a power play or have advantage the entire match. The other team may be a lot worse than us, but if they've got advantage, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It's mind-boggling to me. These people can be level 300 or 400 in the season pass and still not be taking the zones. I saw a guy who was level 900 today.
900?
900.
On the season pass?
Yes.
How?
I have no idea. I was killed by a guy who was level 500 too.
What?
Yeah. I do not understand. Oh my God. I want to just give those people a hug.
Because I've played there, guy. Are you okay?
I've played a pretty fair amount this season. The seasonal challenges have definitely boosted my level a lot.
Yeah, the seasonal challenges. I leveled up. I was doing some of the seasonal challenges yesterday before I did some Iron Banner, and I leveled up 10 times yesterday without even trying.
Dude, what I do is I save my challenges and I turn them in Tuesday when you get that you have that booster for your first 5 levels of the week.
Oh, yeah.
But if you're in a fire team, you also get like an extra 20-something%.
Yeah.
So I turn in all my stuff when I'm playing with just with anybody when we're leveled up. As soon as we touch down on the planet, it can be the beginning of a Crucible match. I'll sit there and turn everything in, and I just like instantly, like Matt was joking about it yesterday. He's like, "Oh my god, like what keeps dinging over there?" I just keep hearing bing, 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 like the level up noise. I was like, dude, it's me. I literally went up 10 levels by clicking like on 3 challenges because some of them are quadruple XP.
Right.
And it's amazing when you get that feeling. It's like, oh, I'm getting all this bright dust. I'm going to get Eververse Ingrams. Like some of these have weapons attached to them. It's really cool. Like we talked about seasonal challenges and rewards last week. When we talked about what needed to be done to overhaul Banshee as a vendor.
Yeah.
I want to have that conversation about Saladin.
Yeah.
Because all Saladin has to offer you is 4 bounties for the week.
Yeah.
And turn in your tokens. Corey, I'm going to let you guess. How many Iron Banner tokens am I sitting on? And when was the last time I turned them in?
Well, I'm guessing you haven't turned them in since probably last expansion, probably. I'm assuming.
I turned them in the first season of Shadowkeep, I believe, the last time I turned them in.
So you probably
that's when they changed it to where you could get any mod out of his Ingrams.
Right. So I'm guessing you probably have close to 10,000.
I have nearly 3,000.
Oh, okay. Well, not as many. But you don't play a lot. You don't really play Iron Banner. You usually skip it after like the first week, though, right?
I do. I play it for the first. I play it the first round, the first time around to get the set of armor, do the quest, get the shaders, whatever, and get my weapons. And I usually, if I get a roll or two that I like, okay, cool. Like I was extremely fortunate in Arrivals to get the exact roll that I wanted on Forward Path and Fool's Remedy right away.
Mm-hmm.
So those suckers got thrown into my vault. I got a new Swarm of the Raven. I was good to go after that. I didn't really play anymore.
Yeah.
And that's why I think it's felt so bad last season. Like, oh my God, this is bad. The weapons this time around, like Time Worn Spire as a pulse is okay, but the Iron Banner Scout from last season is dog shit.
Yeah. It's
not
really
a
good.
huge fan of the SMG. I know a lot of people like the SMG. I don't personally like it.
I don't really care for it either. I'm only using it because I'm doing the quest this time around. Because I never do the quest. Because I just don't care.
As far as kinetic SMGs go, I think Extraordinary Rendition is miles, like leaps and bounds better.
Yeah.
Or if you got a good cold front during the Dawning, I think that's a really solid one too.
Yeah, I did not. So,
like, what I'd like to see is, sure, you have to get, say you have to get the quest done to unlock the armor pieces, right?
Yeah.
And then you have to unlock the guns, which you do during the course of the quest as well. You get 1 drop from each of those while you're doing the Iron Banner quest for the season. What if you were able to do a selection? There were weeklies, but there were also Iron Banner dailies that awarded like 3 to 5 tokens a piece with XP. And maybe the weeklies would include like some mats or something with them, or like a guaranteed weapon like they used to.
Right.
Random Iron Banner weapon drop or something like that from doing it. I know they give you a pinnacle and whatnot, but what if you could guarantee what weapon you were going to get out of it? Or you could buy an Iron Banner Engram to open up from him with your tokens.
I mean, you could almost do like an Umbral Engram situation where like, hey, maybe I spend some of those special tokens on like a special bounty to get this particular type of armor piece or this particular weapon. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like you could do something like that.
Yeah, I'd like to, for example, if there were like some shader, an emblem, a ship, and like a sparrow each season that you could earn. And I know we've tied to some of those to triumphs in the past, or to completing quests, turning in a certain amount of tokens, etc. Like, what if you could do something like that, or like there was an exotic that was tied to it, or something like that? Like, I still find it baffling that there is absolutely no Iron Banner title. There's a concept I'm seeing on here, and I don't know if this is the person who actually designed it. I think it is Kujay.
Are you talking about where they had like you could turn your tokens in for like an engram or like an armor, like specific engrams?
Yes.
Yeah, I saw that. I saw that earlier too.
Yeah, this is the concept. He tweeted it. I saw it in response to Paul Tassi. I was looking back through it, and
that's probably
a lot of what
I
I've described comes from his concept.
Yeah.
But I think it would be so cool if you did something along these lines, and maybe you rotate the armor pieces and the weapon out like each time it comes up during the season.
Mm-hmm.
But like you leave the emblem, the shader, the ship, the sparrow, etc. up the whole time. I think that would be really cool. That would be something for people to chase who have 1.5 million tokens like myself.
Right.
Hell, make a catalyst available through there.
Yeah.
Let us earn, if you get to a certain Iron Banner rank reset our Iron Banner rank every season, you get to a certain rank in Iron Banner, just like when you get there in the Crucible or with Uncle Drifter, you can earn enhancement materials.
There's no Iron Banner exotic, is there?
No.
I feel like that would be cool to have like some sort of exotic.
I would love the sword from Rise of Iron to come back as the Iron Banner exotic.
The axe or the sword?
So I would love to see an axe, which I still think we're getting the hammer approving at the end of the season.
I know.
I would love to see Young Wolf's Howl come back.
Yeah.
Like, obviously refine it because that sword like kind of blew, but it would be really. It is our sword as an Iron Lord. Canonically, it is the Young Wolf's.
Yeah.
I'd like to see Saladin award that to us in the future, or maybe Everdeep, because Saladin's being a little whiny bitch. But I don't know. Like, I think that he needs a rewards overhaul. Like, we seem to have gotten the matchmaking down. The stasis nerfs are genuinely helping things. But his rewards have got to change. Just having 2 reprised weapons every season doesn't really help. I get that over the course of a year, that means your entire loot pool is going to change. And that's a cool idea. I like that happens because we do get more new rewards from Iron Banner than we do from our vendors.
Right.
Let's be real.
Yeah.
But if this is going to be a time thing, and this counts as an endgame activity.
Yeah.
Because I've noticed when I've been winning in Iron Banner, I don't know if this is intentional or not, it's been giving me progress on the complete matches in the competitive playlist seasonal triumph.
Yep.
I did not realize it only gives you progress for winning. But you get like 5% for each win, I think.
Right.
5 to 10%, which is a really, really cool idea.
Yeah.
I like that a lot. I don't know. I think that there's a lot you can do with Saladin. He's just kind of hanging out there. He's the grumpy uncle who shows up because he has to.
Right.
And instead, make it more like an event. Like, I see Iron Banner on the calendar now, and I'm like, oh, that's what we're getting for that week? That's it? Okay, I'm probably going to set this one out. I'm tired of Iron Banner control. I want Iron Banner mayhem. I want mayhem. I get why you can't do mayhem. It's because shards are fucking broken. Every hunter in the world is going to run there with shards of Galanor.
Yeah.
But give me Rift, give me Control, give me Supremacy, give me Clash.
I mean, you could even do like Elimination or Survival.
Eliminations. Oh god, dude! If they did Survival, you'd never hear the end of the complaining.
Well, I mean, who cares? You never hear the end of the complaining anyway. So
no, but I would be joining in on the complaining then. I don't want to play Survival. I play enough of that between comp and Trials. I don't want to play anymore.
Oh man, but I think there's some interesting things you could do with Iron Banner.
I think there's a lot you can do.
Yeah. I wonder if they'll try to overhaul that before next expansion at some point. I don't know. They've been trying to say they're going to overhaul it forever, and they haven't. Right? I think the most they did was add the power level being thing again. Right? Remember when Iron Banner didn't include the power level? Oh my god, that was so long ago.
So I mean, like, I like Iron Banner with the power level. It in Destiny 1, this was the only way you could get Pinnacle gear outside of doing raids or Nightfalls. Mm-hmm. And so for a lot of us solo players, it was the only attainable way. Mm-hmm. And that's carried over to now. And I don't know, like I used to look forward to it, and I don't now.
Yeah.
And that's a problem. Maybe I really think a lot of it is just due to control. I'm one of the people I'm one of the few people who complained about skill-based matchmaking being taken out of the game because I felt that I was playing a whole lot better then. And clearly it was because I was just like walloping on people. and now I'm the one being walloped on when I play by myself. I think there's a lot of room to improve there, and like we're going to talk across the board, this is going to be a recurring theme when we talk the next couple of weeks, especially with trials. We talk about trials rewards with Nerd Generalist and Johnny about what needs to be done with the loot pool, with the loot structure there. There are things that really, really need to be changed. I think that the loot pool for Iron Banner should be bigger.
Yeah.
I would love to see, like, after you unlock an armor piece, let me spend my tokens to unlock the transmog of that armor for that season.
Yeah.
Charge me like 150 tokens. I don't care.
Yeah.
But let me do it. Like, let me spend 150 tokens, get the quest, go do a couple of objectives, and then take it to Ada at any point in the season, and I'll get it.
Yeah.
I think that would be really cool. Not that I would ever use the Iron Banner stuff, but hey, it gives the people who this is their main game something else to do, and that's what we keep coming back to. Like, you have to serve as the casual players, which I think you've really done with the TV style approach to the narrative this season. But you have to also serve as the people that this is their main game. So you got to give them more than just that, because they're going to complain at you the other 6 days of the week.
Yeah. Josh, I'll be right back. Just keep.
Oh, you're good. Yeah. I think that fixing Iron Banner rewards is a big first step in that. The quest, and we got to talk about the Iron Banner quests too. They seem to learn their lesson, and then like 2 seasons later, they come back with another asinine get power weapon kills in the Crucible. Instead of it counting, a couple seasons ago, they did it really smart where, or I guess it was maybe like a year or so ago, they did it really smart where it counted if your teammates got these kills. They were high numbers, but it counted as your teammates got kills. I think that's and quest progress was retroactive on a lot of that stuff. I think that's kind of what you need to do if you're going to do a power level or a power weapon thing. It's just incredibly obnoxious. They're like, oh, go get 10. And I was one of those who was like, oh, that's not that bad. That's easy. I played like an entire 2-3 days worth and couldn't get a single kill. I was just stuck on step 3 of the quest, and step 2 or 3 of the quest couldn't progress. And they auto completed it for everybody. And once they auto completed it, I had it done within a half an hour. I had the rest of the quest done. I think the things should be challenging, but not damn near impossible. Give me like, I don't know, 50 fusion rifle kills, 50 pulls, 50 SMG, something like that. Like, I think that, I don't know if an Iron Banner quest should be able to be banged out in like 2 hours, but I also don't think it should take like the entire week. Like, we have to remember, this is a season-long quest, though. Like, this is not, I don't think that's something that's up there for an entire season. It has multiple steps to it, and multiple components to each step, should be able to be banged out in an hour. I also think the rewards have got to be a little bit better, because if all you're going to give me is the armor, I'm going to get the armor to drop from something else. Like, the armor is going to complete from me finishing matches. Weapons are going to drop from me finishing matches. Like, I want something more. Like, give me some shaders in there, which there was a shader this season. It is tied to a triumph. I just unlocked it the other day. I think it's Crackle Brass, I think is what it's called, if I'm thinking of it correctly. I think things like that are cool. They used to give you a bonus to how much XP you could get, Iron Banner XP you could get in Destiny 1 by wearing the class item, putting on the emblem, and putting on the shader. I think something like that would be a cool component. Like, you can get extra XP. And I do think we need to move to an XP system in Iron Banner, like we do with the other. We've done with 3 of the other vendors, or 2 of the other vendors. We're moving Zavala to that. I'm leading the campaign to move Banshee to that. Put Saladin and Saint on that same level. Put Hawthorne on that level. Like, I want to see more like this, where you have tangible things you're working towards. A clan, I just said Hawthorne, and this is kind of a side tangent. Like, at some point, we're going to have a conversation about Hawthorne and how she needs to be revamped, because clans have been in such a bad place since Destiny 2 launched. And they continue to be a complete afterthought to Bungie. And it's like, if you want this to be this big, giant social experience, clans were something you needed to fix years ago. I think, honestly, it's too late for clans at this point to fix them and make them worth anything. Giving us the engrams for, people completed a raid, they did a Nightfall, they did they won a Crucible match here, they played Gambit together. Like, those are good steps, but this is part of a recurring problem, a larger problem, where we need to overhaul a lot of the vendors. I'm not saying every vendor should award endgame materials, because as we see now, without sunsetting, now a lot of us are getting backpiled on stuff. I'm not saying like I want Saladin to have cores and prisms, but I want there to be tangible things. Let me earn a ship. Let me, I don't know, earn a curated roll of the 2 weapons for the season.
What if Saladin had his own, like how there's like a Valor and
that's what I was just saying. I was just saying.
What if he had
his own XP?
Yeah, and then like maybe he, like, as you leveled up, maybe it's not like 16 or 20 levels like the other ones, but maybe it's like 10, and every time you renewed it, you had a chance to get something. Like I heard the tail end of what you were saying. Like, he doesn't need prisms or anything, but you can get like a cool ornament for a weapon or a ship or a ghost or something.
Right. I think there need to be some rewards, and I don't want it to just be like a reskin ghost or a reskin ship. Give me something unique there. Mm-hmm. Maybe one season, let me earn an emote. Let me earn an Iron Banner emote or something. Like,
right.
If you're doing a ghost, a ship, a legendary emote, and like a sparrow, you can rotate those every year. Just like each season you have something new. We're not saying you gotta give those to us every season, but give us something tangible to work towards. Like I was saying with his normal quest line, like how they keep having to autofill the power weapon kills. Mm-hmm. Maybe give us some more some bigger quest steps, but make it count for your fire team as a whole.
Right.
Like, as your fire team works through these, you get progress, which they've done before, and it was received really, really well.
Yeah.
Do something like that. Let me earn a shader at some point. Let me earn the shader. Like, I know that usually they're tied to triumphs, but let me earn the shader through his rank ups. Let me earn a ship. Let me, curated roles. Like, there's you could get like 4 or 5 tiers or something a season.
Yeah.
And, like, if you reset it, like, cool, then you get like, I don't know.
Maybe there's like a secondary shader that, you know what I mean, or something.
There's a secondary shader, or you get Iron Banner engrams after that, or something like specifically will drop with this season's armor or weapons.
Yeah.
Or specifically will drop with this season's 2 weapons in it. I don't know, like something like that. Like just like three or four little rewards you can get. Like, I think that would give people something to work towards. Like, people like me who finished the quest in the first weekend but still like playing socially with their friends, it gives us something to get back into and do. Like, I'm a completionist. I'll chase that stuff. I'm already going to be playing this anyways for the pinnacles.
Right.
I might as well get some reward. Like, I guarantee you right now, the final Iron Banner of the season, I'm not touching.
Right.
I'm not touching, though. I think there may be 2 more in the season. I'm not touching either of them. I'm done.
One is in like 2 weeks. As of today, I'm done. One is in like 2 weeks because of Guardian games, I think, right? Like, it's pretty back-to-back if you look at the calendar. And then the one doesn't happen for like 6 weeks after Guardian games, so...
so I'm not sure how that's going to go, because we know Guardian games is going to end out the season.
Yeah.
But...
maybe it's like the last week of Guardian games then or something.
I guarantee you there's going to be one during.
Yeah. So, speaking of seasons, how long are the next 2 seasons going to be? Right? Did they say they're backpiling the last season, right? Or are they doing? Yeah.
So, to my understanding, and like they haven't made it official yet, but the data mine that was supposedly uncovered, the guys over at Raid Secrets were digging into the game code. They said that the next season that starts in May at the end of Guardian Games, starts like May 11th, I think is when it's going to go live, will go until like August 14th or something. Mm-hmm. So it'll go until the end of the solstice.
Right.
And then that season is going to be the super long one. It's going to be another season of a rival style thing, which, if you make the Moments of Triumph ridiculous again this year, I am okay with that. Mm-hmm. Like, with the exception of if you're going to make me go to Garden of Salvation, I'm okay with it up until then. I think that's actually like kind of a good idea, and I think they know that people are they're gonna dip once you hit October, November-ish, because you're gonna have hopefully Horizon Forbidden West coming out. God willing, Starfield gets out the door, and you're gonna have Halo Infinite. Like, I think they know a lot of the Xbox and PC population is gonna bounce for at least a few weeks for Halo. Mm-hmm. But if they're anything like me, we're going to leave. We're going to play the Halloween event since it's brand new. We're going to leave for Halo for a month and a half. We're going to come back for the Dawning.
God, the Halloween event. I'm so scared to see what that is.
I'm scared to see what it is, but Team Dino, baby. #Team Dino.
All right, the dinosaur stuff.
That's right. We're playing for that armor regardless. That goes back to the conversation we had about those seasonal events and how we feel about those with the rewards. And we've talked about that ad nauseum. I don't really want to get into that, but I think they're setting it up for you to be able to take a break.
Right.
I don't think that the narrative probably won't be as tight that season, because I think they're really going to rely on, you're going to have your first burst of narrative, and then that's probably going to end with Festival of the Lost starting. Festival of the Lost will be for October, and then, at the beginning of November, we might do the second half of the narrative for the season and have it end with the Dawning.
Right.
I have to imagine they're kind of planning for that, because they said in that post a few weeks, maybe even a couple months ago at this point, that they've long since wanted to move the expansions to the beginning of the year, to Q1.
Yeah.
And this kind of provided them with first off, they needed to bump it, but they're like, why don't we bump it a little bit extra and put it out when we've been wanting to put it out? So I think February.
I feel like this makes sense too, because I mean, a lot of smaller games have been bumping their stuff to like February, March, and have been seeing a lot of success. I mean, look at Hitman this year, right? Like that game would have got murdered if it came out in the fall, but since it came out in January, right? Like it did great, did amazing. So I think that that's a smart move on their part.
I think it is too. The only caveat I would have is, especially next year is going to be so fucking loaded in Q1 that I think you have to worry about getting lost in the shuffle. So I wonder if they're going to like try and pull it forward into January, maybe.
Yeah.
I could see like a second week of January release for it. It's all when they think it's going to be done too, right? So they clearly needed more time. They weren't going to get this out in September. They were going to rush it. We've been talking for a long time, like, how are they going to shorten the seasons? That's clear that they're not. Like, okay, maybe they're bumping to October or November again. I think moving to the beginning of the year will benefit the game as a whole a lot for its health. Mm-hmm. And that'll make it a lot easier to keep track of when does the game year begin and end as well. Mm-hmm. But Corey, we have two more minor things to get to tonight. We have the TWAB, which there's not a whole lot in here. We're just going to kind of glance over this. We covered a lot of this while we were just talking, actually. And then we're going to have a quick lore corner.
Cool.
In here, there's a trailer for Proving Grounds. If for some reason you haven't played it or you didn't hear our spoiler-filled explanation of it, go check out that trailer. It's a cool trailer. Lobby balancing for all playlists except survival. They're testing the changes for Iron Banner and Freelance. They did the skill-based matchmaking last summer and for everything except for survival. There's a interesting explanation there. If you didn't like my 30-second explanation, I'd recommend checking that out. The next Prime Gaming bundle was up. It's Huckleberry themed. Cool little ornament, Devil's Work ornament for it, Sanctified Vigilance shell from Forsaken, and a little escape pod looking ship. It's one of those purple ones you probably gotten a million times.
Time to look at my Prime Gaming.
All we've got after that is just there's some known issues. One of the ones I did want to highlight is the Guardian Games Ghost Shells, because it's something that affected me. I run around with my Masterworked Warlock shell usually. Mm-hmm. I really like that one. They had to disable them because something was broken on the back end with them. They've re-enabled them. You can pull them from collections. If you had an upgraded one, though, that will be patched back in at a later update. Mm-hmm. Don't know when that. I would imagine probably on the eve of Guardian Games is when it'll be fixed. There is another hotfix going live next Thursday on April 1st. Inside Terminus's Nightfall triumph will now be awarded when you reach the score. Lost sector puzzles for Xenophage will work as intended, and heavy ammo will no longer spawn underneath the Crucible map on the distant shore. I imagine that's why that has not been in the playlist for a while.
Yeah.
And a note from the player support team, an exotic enhancement core. Enhancement cores that are sent to the Postmaster will appear as exotic engrams with 0 power. Collecting this is intended only to award a single enhancement core, and players should be aware they are not missing out on a real exotic engram. And yeah, that seems to be about it. And I want to see if there's a note for next week. I felt like there was. Nope. There will be something for Trials this week. Fun test over the weekend as we hunt for better rolls on Redacted. kind of curious to see what that is. That kind of implies, I think, that it's going to be a newer weapon.
Mm-hmm.
Fingers crossed for the Solar Sword. I really want the Trial Sword. I did get Igneous Hammer last weekend, which just fucking rocks. I got a good PvE roll on it. Still have yet to get a good PvP. I did finally get a good PvP messenger, though, playing with Nerd Generalists and A1 Johnny. I got the messenger to roll with Desperado and Rampage.
Ooh.
So, or no, Outlaw. I got Outlaw Desperado. So, not quite what I wanted. I really wanted Rapid Hit Desperado. That's the God roll. But I'll take it. It's a better one than I had, at least for PvP. With that, let me get us pulled up here on Ishtar Collective so that we can talk about
already.
It is the lore corner already. Corey, believe it or not, we've been going for a little over an hour.
I know. Kind of sad that it's almost over.
I'm looking. My stuff got closed out, so I'm trying to find it real fast.
Why would you close your tabs? Never close your tabs.
No, Chrome crashed on me. So I'm trying to find it. It is an item. If I need to run into the app and read it from there, I will. So, feel like we need the Jeopardy music right now. Okay, that doesn't mean I actually wanted it. Smart ass.
You know what they say? Rather be a dumbass or a smart ass than a dumbass.
Pretty much.
Oh man!
All right, I have it pulled up.
Great.
All right.
See how easy it is to fill time, everybody. Just talk it out.
This is from the exotic sparrow that you get at the close of the quest this week. I don't remember if it's Zavala or Crow that hands it to you, but it's the Vita Brevis. I believe it's from Crow. It looks like something that was probably fallen at one point. And its flavor text says, "Life is too short to waste on a slow ride." What if it's a trap? Glint drifts in a shaky 360 around Crow as he strides into a grassy corridor between two rusted-out warehouses. This is old devil's territory. Our friend may have freed us fair and square, but the spider wanted to nab you. He would have done it long ago. Crow's voice is steady as his eyes dart from shadow to shadow. Besides, how could it be a trap if they don't know I'm come? A laser shot zips past his nose. Above, on one of the old rooftops, a gravelly voice shouts out in Elixni. Crow obeys, Crow obeys, raising his hands in the air while Glint transmats out of the way. I'm looking for some fine Yavarsi figs, Crow calls out over the electric hum of multiple snipers' sights settling on his body. Did they hear him? Figs, he shouts louder. One by one, the sights vanish. Then to his right, metal scrapes as a makeshift door is pulled to the side to reveal a familiar insect-like face. Avrok, Crow says and lowers his hands. You've been promoted. In no mood for pleasantries, the Elixni grunts and steps back into the warehouse. Crow follows him in, pushing the door shut behind him. What are the odds on the newly arrived Empress? He asks, blinking rapidly. It's dark. All he can see is Avrok's outline, sitting on a crate surrounded by massive motionless shapes. Surely there's an outright on her getting Commander Zavala to bend the knee. Prying bird. Avrok growls. Information costs. Don't worry, I've brought you something shiny from my nest. Crow holds up a cube of glimmer, its blue light illuminating piles of collateral stacked among the walls. As if you're friends from the former Red Legion, I see. Avrok grins, spreading his long arms in a showman-like gesture. Energy shields, open crates of planet crackers, magma launchers, cabal paraphernalia of all kinds fill the room. One particularly pretty prize gleams in the corner. A sparrow, civet in burnished bronze. Crow strolls over to admire it. Beautiful machine, his associate grunts out loud. Val Marag wagers he will be the first on Empress's war council. There's a small flash of light as Glint reemerges for a closer look. Betting on himself, Glint says, that's the cabal for you. Crow crouches to examine the fringe lining the sparrow's snout. Never hurts to have a little extra motivation, he murmurs. He stands and turns to Avrok. I'll follow his lead. If Val Marag lands himself a seat, he can have my bucket of bolts too. But if we disrupt his right of proving, well, naturally, The Fallen bark out a laugh. A bold bet. Spider was wrong to let you go. Vigorish is 7%. 7, Glint brinks indigenously. The Spider is taking an awfully big cut, don't you think? Ignoring him, Avrok gestures to an empty space. Leave your little transport there. Now we discuss the book. I can't believe you're gambling your sparrow, Glint mutters once Avrok is out of earshot. You hate walking long distances. Crow shrugs. I like winning more. So, it's very cool. This is Crow gives us his sparrow at the end of the quest line. And it's yet another touching moment between the Guardian and Crow. Mm-hmm. You know, Crow knows that we know about his past, and we haven't told him out of respect. Glint, basically has asked us not to. Mm-hmm. Glint's going to have to tell him eventually, and I suspect he's going to find out before we see him again next.
You think Glint's going to tell him, or do you think you think Glint intends to tell him, and somebody else is going to break it to him?
I think that Glint is going to be the one to tell him, frankly. I don't think that it's going to be revealed to him otherwise. I think it already would have. Mm-hmm. I just can't think of anybody else who would actually tell him now. Mm-hmm. Even outside, I think people would just try to kill him first, frankly. I think it would have come from us.
Mm-hmm. Gesundheit.
Oh, thank you. I think it would have come from us. I don't think there's anybody else unless Petra or Mara gets to him before Glint tells him. Mm-hmm. But Glint's known for a while. He needs to tell him. We'll see what happens. Osiris has even cautioned us, not to tell him and this and that. It's something his ghost needs to explain to him. Mm-hmm. So I'm kind of curious to see what happens there. It's interesting. It's going to be a big plot line. What's up?
Do you ever think about like this storyline and how Crow doesn't know his past? Do you ever think that that's going to come up about our past at some point?
I don't think so. I think the whole idea with our Guardian is it's a completely blank slate. And I mean, you got to remember you can pick from being a human, an awoken, or an exo.
Yeah, but I mean, remember when their initial plan for Destiny was like each of the planets, depending on what race you started as, you started on a different planet. Yeah. And like your story kind of changed depending on what race you were.
I would like that, but I think you would have needed to implement that long ago. I think to implement anything other than just like subtle dialogue changes based on your race mm-hmm. is going to be too much for a game that's now in its like 7th or 8th year of existence.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know if it has to like change really. I mean, I think depending on how long you've been playing Destiny, I think that's how your story changes. You know what I mean? I don't know. It's just something I was thinking about.
I think it's possible. I really think that's going to be something that they tackle. If they tackle it, it'll be after the Light and Dark saga is over.
Okay, yeah.
I could see that being the next big step for the franchise.
Yeah.
Because the way I see it kind of like panning out, I think that we're going to give the Fallen, I think, are going to continue to coexist in the Reef with Petra.
Yeah.
I feel like that's kind of natural order of things, or they'll be allowed to live on Earth with us because they've been here for so long that Mithrax will be allowed to establish his house. I wouldn't be surprised if he established it at the farm, frankly.
Yeah.
To watch over the EDZ and over the Shard of the Traveler that's there.
Yeah.
Considering his revenants for it. But the Cabal, it feels pretty natural. Like, so when you do the Rite of Proving, you're challenging Keitel. If we lose, Zavala has to become, and this is hilarious, he has to become Brachus Zavala. And he has to serve on her war council, and we also cede control of Nessus to the Cabal. I could see us giving Keitel Nessus in the future in exchange for an alliance against the Hive Sisters.
Yeah.
Against Savathun and Xivu Arath. Like, hey, you help us kill them, we'll let you have control of Nessus, or we'll cede Mars to you. One of the two. Like, once Mars comes back from the anomaly, whenever that is. Hey, you can have Mars back. Congratulations. Something like that. I don't know what you do, but I think you do something like that.
It totally makes sense with like the narrative of their homeworld being destroyed and they're, making their way across the galaxy, probably looking for a new place to live or, set up their civilization and everything. Like, I feel like Nessus makes sense, right? It just, there's a lot of Cabal activity there anyway, like with with the barge was there for a while, and I don't know, it just kind of makes sense. I know there's a lot of Vex activity there, but
I mean, because I think that the Vex network is going to play into a lot of the end game of the franchise, at least of this storyline. The Vex literally, like we see the Exos are born from Vex milk and darkness. So at some point, the Vex have to come back into play in a major way. We haven't had a major expansion focusing on the Vex ever. We've had a raid, and we've had some strikes, and that's about it. Like Vex really haven't been. They weren't in Warmind. Warmind was...
Or not Warmind, Curse of Osiris. I mean, theoretically. Not a major expansion, but...
Yeah, but, I guess. But really the last time in a major game that they were the forefront focus was Destiny 1.
And especially with, like, the time stuff, like, they're gonna have to come back at some point and be a major focus, right? Like, I feel like that's where maybe Lightfall, right?
Yeah, I think that this will be us I think that this next expansion will be us taking care of the Hive and the Taken, like not like once and for all, but like I think the Taken may very well be eradicated after this. Taken or unless they like come out and be like, oh no, the Taken are basically what we intended the Veil to be. They come out because I still
kind of be really disappointing.
That would be super disappointing, but that would be classic Bungie. I think you have to introduce the Veil as an enemy race in Witch Queen at some point, maybe in the raid, the raid or in a strike or something like that. Maybe taking over some of these planets. I feel like they have to be the ultimate villain, but that the Vex have to play into that also. We just, for the love of God, we got to be done with Taken and Hive after this. We've had so much focusing on them.
I'm not going to lie. I'm really tired of Taken and Hive. I'm really tired of them.
This has been our weekly complaining about the Taken and Hive being everywhere.
Here's your Taken and Hive minute.
Right. But that's Lore Corner for this week. It's a short one. But we're going to play in some more stuff for the seasonal lore for the rest of the season. We might start digging through Empress, but we're almost to the point where we can start doing the Captain's Log now.
It's exciting.
Side note, did you see that they replaced one of the triumphs on the seasonal title for Chosen Seal? Now instead of having to get all like 11 pages of the Captain's Log, you just have to do the last 4 scannables that are now accessible as of this week.
I did not see that.
You do the final 4 scannables, and the reward that you get is the ghost shell of the Guardian who had to kill his ghost and then himself because he kept getting killed by the Scorn over and over again.
Wow.
You get the shell of Gilgamesh.
Sweet.
And we're going to be telling the story of Katabai and Gilgamesh the last few weeks of the season. So
awesome. Josh, I'm very sad that this is the end for now. You are officially being promoted to fire team leader, as they would say.
That's right. It only took 9 months.
Josh's grand plan is finally coming
It was my plan. It was me, Barry.
Wow. But yeah, I'm kind of sad. I'm not gonna lie. But I've already kind of made up my mind on the order of things like that I come back to, and this is going to be the first one. I come back to probably standard definition after that. So we'll see. We'll see. But I'm proud of this show, Josh. I'm proud of you. You put a lot of work into the show, and I'm excited to hear what you and Nerd and Johnny and whoever else you scrounge up from the LFG.
We're putting up the fire. We're putting up the signal flare to the old LFG. We haven't tapped them out in a while, but we're ready.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I want to thank everybody for watching and or listening. I truly appreciate we both do appreciate every single listener who listens to this show. Josh, take good care of her while I'm gone.
Always. I'll try not to yeet us too close to the sun.
Yeah, it's fine. Just go through it. It's fine. It's faster if you go through
We're
it.
guardians. We'll be rezzed anyways.
Unless our ghost melts, then we'll die. Josh, where can we find you?
As always, Twitch and Twitter as @Josh_Finn with 2 N's. I started playing Dishonored 2 this week, and I'm really, really digging it. We're playing Dishonored 2, and we're playing Destiny 2. We like D's and 2s, apparently.
It's a good time. It's a good time. You can find me. I am Corey HD on Twitter. Probably be absent for a while on there too. Look, kids, man. Kids. Josh, I have a really sad story to tell you, actually. Speaking of.
What's your sad story?
So, yeah. So my nephews came over, right? Yesterday and today, but yesterday. And I know they're kids, but inside I was very upset. So every time I go to Disney, right? I mean, I'm sure everybody's tuned out by now, but every time I go to Disney, I get something Figment related, right? And so I have my Figment collect, like some of the stuffed animals and some of the collectibles on this chair that's sitting next to me over here. It's like a big chair or whatever, and they all still had their tags on them because one was the limited edition Food and Wine Festival one. One was the they had like the art one. It was like the Color Co thing or whatever that was limited. I got really upset because my one nephew started taking the tags off of all of them.
I'm sorry.
This is what's left, Josh. This is what's left. You can't tell a 5-year-old that that's not okay.
No, you can't. You can't. You just have to die inside while it's happening.
Dude, I was dying so hard inside. So that was my sad story for the week. Anyways, there's my side tangent. I want to thank everybody so much for watching and or listening. If you listen on Apple Podcasts, please rate and review us. It really helps us out. Like us on Spotify. Subscribe, share, tell your friends. And until next week, we love you. Goodbye.
Bye now.
Bye-bye.